What is going on, NFL fans? Welcome back to another episode of The Way We See It. I'm Jeff Hartman, joined by my buddy, Wesley Coleman. What's up, Wesley? How's it going?
It's going good, man. We got people showing up and doing football-like things, wearing football pads, and we get owners having press conferences. We got good stuff going on.
We'll get to the owners talk, but I got to be honest. This is a 100% confession. I love this time of year. There's people that are like, they're in shorts, it's practice. I love the accessibility that you get. I love players giving more interviews, coaches having to give more interviews. I love the battles, the roster battles for those final few fringe spots. I love training camp. There's a part of me that gets really sad when training camp is over. Just to be honest, I don't know what your take is on
it. I love that it's something to talk about after the little dead period, but I think that in the grand scheme of if we remembered what happens the next 3 weeks and put predictions into what it means for the season, it probably has nothing to do with anything.
You're exactly right. But what we want to talk about here, with all these teams, Wednesday, all 32 teams will be in camp. That's the line. It's Wednesday. Everyone's going to be there. If some have already started, we know this. We'll talk about that. We want to talk about coaches. New coaches, that means new faces and new places, as well as coaches that we deem could be on the hot seat this year. They really need to perform well. And when we talk about the new coaches, we want to talk also about not just, Ben Johnson's with the Chicago Bears. It's also, what does he have to do with the Bears to make them successful? And it starts at training camp. So, Wesley, let's start with Ben Johnson, right? Would you say that was the biggest hire of the offseason?
Yeah, most likely. Yeah,
You
sure.
were going to say Kellen Moore. I know you were going to say Kellen
Oh, no, I wasn't going to do that.
All right, let's start with Ben Johnson then. We'll start with Ben Johnson. All the rumors were that he was slated to go to the Raiders, and then for whatever reason, he starts negotiating with the Bears, and the Bears are able to ink him to a really lucrative deal. I don't know what to say here because not all coordinators make good head coaches. He was a hell of a coordinator with Detroit. What's your takeaway on Ben Johnson now leading the Bears?
I think it's exciting because you're pairing him with Caleb Williams, who for the greater part of 4 years was going to be the number one overall draft pick in 2024.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 years, but I mean, it was known for a very long time. Caleb Williams is going to come out around this time, and that's the number one overall draft pick, and people planning on how many losses they were going to have in 2023 for years in order to get Caleb Williams. And then Caleb Williams, wasn't bad, but also didn't outplay Jaden Daniels.
No.
Maybe didn't outplay Bo Nix, Drake May. There's some controversy there. So now, how much of that is his fault? Ben Johnson has to get the best out of Caleb Williams. He's got to make Caleb Williams look like he deserved to be the number one overall pick. This is not, let's see what you can get out of Anthony Richardson. This is Caleb Williams, and he's got to be much better than he was in his rookie season.
He has the skill set.
I agree.
He has every physical tool that you would want. Mobility, arm strength, all of it. He's got to get something out of him. You're right. Because after year one, those three quarterbacks that you mentioned, I would take him over Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
But again, is it the Bears? Is it the scheme? They've ruined a lot of players, mainly quarterbacks, in their time. So what does Ben Johnson have to do in your opinion? I think Ben Johnson, I'll give the first take here.
Okay.
I think that Ben Johnson's got to come in and he's got to build a system that is creative, which he's done that in Detroit. He's proven that he's done that in Detroit. And he's got to get Caleb Williams to really buy into it. Caleb Williams is a young man who is just the product of when he was born. And a lot of these young players, I don't know, they're kind of scatterbrained. They're not always invested. He's got to get them to buy in, and that's going to be a challenge, especially if there's a struggle. I know a lot of people, I'm not saying this is me, they go back to his days at USC where he's crying over on his mom's shoulder in the stands. They saw him be dejected against the Commanders when the Hail Mary gets completed. Those are all factual things that happened, and that's something that a lot of people are curious whether that's going to equate into an NFL career. But in terms of Ben Johnson, man, this is a tough test because if he doesn't ace this test, Ben Johnson, that is, I don't know what they do. They've invested a lot into Caleb Williams.
Kind of given a simple, tangible answer of what I think Ben Johnson has to do this year. I think he's got to win 3 of the 6 games in his division. And it'd be great if you beat each of the teams once and split maybe. But like even if they beat Minnesota twice, get swept by Detroit, but they beat Green Bay once, you got to win 3 out of those 6 division games. You got to show right now you're ready to compete against these teams because this is a hell of a division with, crazy things going on with coaches and quarterbacks and all. Like you've got to compete in this division immediately. And that's what I think his big measuring stick's going to be. I don't know if he can win the division. I don't know about playoffs necessarily, but he's got to have a 500 record in this division the first year.
Let's go one step further before we leave the Bears talk. They extended Ryan Poles, which I didn't understand personally. He's made some really dumb decisions since he's been the GM. Do they have the roster outside of the quarterback position, in your opinion, for them to, in your situation, finish 500 in the NFC North?
Yeah, I mean, and I think that some of that's going to come down to the coaching. They do have some exciting receivers. Including a tight end and receiver. I think that they've got the ability to get the ball out there. If DeAndre Swift is healthy, they've got the running back. I don't know how their defense is going to come across, but I think they've improved the offensive line, which they had to do for Caleb Williams, and you've got the skill position players here to do exciting things with Ben Johnson as your offensive coordinator / head coach.
Do you think they've reached that watermark that you set forth?
Yeah, I like it. And it might go like I said, which I think is maybe they sweep Minnesota and then steal one against Green Bay and then get swept by the Lions.
Okay.
It might be something like that, but I think they can do it, and I think that would be a big calling card for them. And I think that Ben Johnson's going to really want to beat the Lions.
Well, of course.
I mean, really.
Of course he is, for sure. All right, let's go to the next coach. Let's go to Mike Vrabel. He's not a new head coach. He's had plenty of experience in Tennessee. He goes back to where he played and won Super Bowls as a player at the New England Patriots, and he takes over a team that is really tough to gauge. I thought they had a very good offseason. I like the moves they made in free agency. I thought they had a very good draft. Yep. He already has that, well, they hope is their future quarterback in Drake May. Depends on who you talk to and what their thoughts are. What do you think about Vrabel in New England?
I think I like Vrabel in New England. I like what he's going to bring. I really like that they are. I think that Miami's going to be descending. So being in that, they're going to be the second best team in that division behind Buffalo. I think that the Trayvon Henderson potential missing of considerable games is going to be terrible for them. I think he was going to be a big part of what they did this year. Mm-hmm. But I like Vrabel there. I think it's he's going to build a team the right way. I think he's a good coach. I think that Tennessee was really stupid for allowing him to ever think about leaving. But he's one of the few coaches that actually increases your win total. Most coaches they're there and they're hanging on, and a few coaches lose you games and only a couple coaches win you games. He's one that can win you games.
I'll be very curious because when you think about Mike Vrabel, you think he's a stickler. He's played for Belichick. He kind of rolls with an iron fist. And then Stephon Diggs gets brought into the organization. And you're like, well, how is he going to handle this situation? I'm very curious how that's going to play itself out. Not that anything from the boat is going to make any type of waves, but at the same time, how is he going to handle a player like Stephon Diggs? I'll be anxious to see that. If it equates in wins, they'll probably be just fine. But ultimately, I think Vrabel, out of all these coaches that we're going to talk about, in my opinion, has the best chance to succeed this year. And we'll talk about that. I'll get your take on that after we go through the rest of them. Let's go down to Jacksonville. Liam Cohen, that was the weird story when he was the Tampa Bay, and then he kind of went off the radar. No one could get a hold of him, and then he's signing with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he has that awkward press conference. Duval. It's kind of cringeworthy, but at the same time, this isn't just a new GM and a new head coach. This is a new front office that took a huge swing in the draft, trading up with the Cleveland Browns to get Travis Hunter, and they gave up a first-round pick in 2026. They're trying to send a message that they are going to be a team to be reckoned with, and I think is a very soft AFC South division. They've got the quarterback. They have the talented rookie. I don't know if they have all the pieces, though. What's your takeaway on Liam Cohen?
I think Liam Cohen's kind of a goofball. Beyond this, the Duvall thing, the fact that he lied to the team that he had him under contract about that he was at a doctor's appointment with his kid when he was in Jacksonville with the owner. The whole thing is just a complete mess. Jacksonville could have a great return to form if Trevor Lawrence is a real NFL top 11 quarterback. Yeah. What they've built there, and then now with Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas Jr. is like a breakout star of what he's bringing to the table. But there's a lot there to like, and like you said, a weak division, and where Houston didn't really put it together in C.J. Stroud's sophomore season. Now, again, they had some injuries and they had some crazy stuff with the players they needed healthy. But they're definitely – that's a division that you can go win some games in with Indianapolis and Tennessee, which are probably going to be just hapless again. So, I don't know. I've never been a Trevor Lawrence believer. I've never thought that he was going to be a top 10 quarterback. So this is his year to kind of prove people wrong, though.
Yeah, and if he doesn't, it's going to be bad because they gave him that big contract last year, and he ended up being shelved with a shoulder injury, required surgery. So that's going to be an interesting situation down in Jacksonville for sure. Let's go to your home team here, the New Orleans Saints and Kellen Moore. Moore coming off a Super Bowl victory with the Philadelphia Eagles. He gets a shot now as his first-time head coach down in New Orleans. I don't know. I kind of view Kellen Moore that I feel two ways about it as an outsider. I feel like he gets a kind of a clean slate. Derek Carr's gone. He's not saddled with that veteran quarterback that maybe he wants, maybe he doesn't. It might not equate to wins this year, but he does get to build something in the future, whether it's Tyler Shuck. I don't think it's Spencer Rattler. But one of those two guys doesn't fit. Maybe they go after a quarterback in 2026. But I also feel like in a way he doesn't have that. Therefore, it's not as good of a situation as some of these other coaches. I mentioned Vrabel with Drake May. What's your takeaway as a Saints fan on Kellen Moore stepping in there to lead the Saints?
Yeah, I think it's a no pressure situation for Kellen Moore. He's got a young, what's going to be a young team. He's got a few older players that are definitely on the last year or two of their, if not NFL careers, Saints careers. Right. He's going to have at least 3 years to be building a team. During that time, he's not going to have to worry about any of his coaching staff being hired away, because even if they have a successful year, it's not going to be a probably winning record successful year that's good enough to hire coach away. I think that him and his coaching staff are in a great position. He has put together, considering that he was the last head coaching hire, put together an amazing staff with Doug Nussmeier, Garrett Nussmeier's dad, but Joel Thomas, a running back coach that's really well respected. He's on the defensive side, got Brandon Staley, who is it's perfect for a first-year head coach to be bringing in a veteran head coach that failed in a situation where people thought he was going to succeed. So I think he's got Brandon Staley as an awesome kind of sounding board and filter. And I like what he's got, but there's no pressure. They don't know if either one of these guys are going to be the quarterback. If they're not, the Saints are going to be a top 3 draft pick team and in a very strong quarterback class next year. So they got 3 years with no pressure to kind of keep this staff together and develop a team.
That's the biggest thing. That was the biggest question, because I don't know the Saints ownership at all, but still, if they're expecting an immediate return, well, that's a lose-lose situation for the coach.
Not at all.
I don't have a quarterback really. We need to find that. If they're like, we're going to give you some time, don't worry about it. If that's a no-pressure situation, that's a winning perspective for him. He can kind of go in there and have that freedom to be able to just do what he needs to do. I really do like the marriage with the New Orleans Saints and Kellen Moore. And the more I learn about it, the more I think that could be a good long-term answer for the Saints. Let's go to Dallas. Brian Schottenheimer. When the Dallas Cowboys did not bring back Mike McCarthy, they end up signing Brian Schottenheimer. I don't think anyone expected that to be the hire. Yet here we are. And I don't know what to think about this. He's made some comments, in the mandatory minicamp where he's moving lockers around and trying to be the team guy. And they've made some trades. Obviously, they acquired George Pickens from the Steelers. They still have yet to pay Micah Parsons. Their owner is making dumbass remarks all the time, but still, Don't talk about the owner yet. We'll get to that in a second. What do you think about Schottenheimer as the head coach in Dallas?
I mean, one, I love it because I hate the Cowboys, and I think it's a bad hire. I just I'm not sure. It didn't make any sense to me. The way they treated McCarthy didn't make sense. McCarthy also kind of screwed that up because he thought he was a shoo-in for the Saints job, which ended up not being good for him. And then when that didn't happen, he was going to the Bears. He had the Bears job promised to him until, like we talked about,
right.
Johnson came and was like, you know what, I'll take that.
Yeah.
So it was really weird by everybody there. And then Brian Schottenheimer being hired was a surprise, I'd say. For a team that truly, like, their owner will come out in the next week or a couple days and say that they have Super Bowl aspirations and they will compete for the Super Bowl and all that matters is Super Bowl and it's Super Bowl or bust. This was a weird hire.
All I can say is this is the complete opposite of what we just talked about in New Orleans. I feel like Brian Schottenheimer has a ton of pressure on him. You have your quarterback. We get CeeDee Lamb is under contract. We just signed George Pickens via trade. You've got a defense with some really nice pieces there. You need to win now. I feel that's the way Jerry Jones is approaching it. You agree or disagree?
Yeah. Out of the 7 coaches that we're about to discuss or we're discussing right now that got hired this year, he is the only one who might get fired after 1 year.
I agree with that.
The other 6, it's 0% chance of them getting fired.
I agree. Unless something catastrophic happens and they just say, you got to go. But I agree. And that's what sucks about, and I don't blame Schottenheimer for taking the job.
Oh, no, you got to do it.
You got to take the job.
Yeah.
But at the same time, man, that is a high-pressure situation down there. It is, in my opinion, combustible, and no one knows what's going to happen, whether that's what the owner's going to say, think, or do, as well as the team. The team feels like it's combustible in some ways. Micah Parsons remains unsigned. We've talked about that. He wants a new contract. Man, Dallas is going to be entertaining this year. And maybe for all the wrong ways, which you would like because you hate Dallas. But everyone hates Dallas. So Let's go to the last coach that's in a new place. Pete Carroll goes to the Vegas Raiders. And that was, I thought was, did I miss another one?
Aaron Glenn?
Oh, Aaron Glenn. He's not on my list. My bad.
Yeah.
Aaron Glenn. So let's talk about, we'll do this the right way. Pete Carroll first, then we'll go to Aaron Glenn. What do you think about the Raiders and Pete Carroll?
I'm a huge fan of it. This is a young, undisciplined team, and one thing they're going to know is Pete Carroll. He needs to set some structure. He's not there to be the coach for the next 4 years. He is there to set somebody up for who's the next coach, set good structure, good practices, get these guys headed in the right direction for the start of their career. But they're actually looking to somehow be competitive as well with what they've done with bringing in Geno and all. I really like it. He was on the short list of who I would have loved for the Saints to hire because I think the Saints have a big transition this next 3 years. So would they need to go with the super young staff that's going to be together or a guy like this that had lots of respect? And I like the Pete Carroll hire. I think it's going to be good for what's not a great team.
So you said it, and you took the words right out of my mouth. They're trying to be competitive this year. They trade for Geno Smith. They feel like they have some really good skill position players. Brock Bowers being one of the bright spots for them after last year. They still have Jacoby Myers, who's not a bad receiver. But still, do you think that they're actually going to be able to compete at all this year?
For 2 reasons. One, I think Geno Smith is better than what he was even in Seattle. He was one of the top quarterbacks in the league last year for yardage, but Seattle made him throw too much. I really believe that Ashton Genty is a special alien that was brought down to make other people look weak and stupid on a football field. And I think that he's going to have a lot of success doing that, transitioning to the NFL. And if he stays healthy, which again, he looks like a damn alien that can't be injured. If he stays healthy, he's going to make them very competitive in games and make it interesting. He's going to take a lot of pressure off of Geno Smith.
They do have, I think, one of the best defenders that doesn't get a lot of credit, and that's Max Crosby. He's a phenomenal football player. He got paid big time this offseason, and I just think they need to put some more pieces around him to have a more competent defense. But we'll see if Geno Smith can stay healthy. They can win some games. I'm not saying they're going to be above 500 or they're going to make a playoffs, but compared to what they were last year, I think absolutely they could be competitive.
You think Tom Brady can coach up Geno Smith and get him headed in the right direction?
Oh, God. So why do we have to bring in Tom Brady into this? I can't stand that freaking guy. So let's go to Aaron Glenn up in New York, the Jets. Aaron Glenn completely cleaning house, and he's starting fresh with Justin Fields at the helm. New general manager. Aaron Rodgers is obviously gone. This is one of those situations where, okay, we've kind of seen this with the Jets before. They've made hires of guys that they're going to do it a different way, but it doesn't always equate in wins. Do you think Aaron Glenn is going to be able to carry his success from Detroit as a defensive coordinator over to New York?
I really, really do. It was disappointing. He was the number one top guy on the Saints wish list for head coach. They knew that they were going to be competing against the Jets. The Jets have a better roster. It was a smart decision for Aaron Glenn to go there. But I think he's going to be very similar to kind of that first year, what Dan Campbell did in Detroit, which is they're probably going to lose. They're going to have a losing record. 7 or 8 of those losses are going to be one-score games, and everybody's going to leave that game knowing that they were in a fight with a team that is focused and physical and is headed in the right direction. And then I think you're probably looking at a big second-year jump from him that's going to shock people. I don't know if they can do it in the first year, but I think by the end of the year, I mean, they're going to be a team that people that are vying for a playoff seeding aren't going to want to play.
Yeah, I mean, they're a team that does have weapons. You know?
They do.
Fields, if
you can focus Justin Fields, he's a weapon if he's used the right way. If you try to make him a pocket passer, you're screwing up. And I don't think Aaron Glenn's an idiot.
No, and Garrett Wilson, they just paid him, got a nice new contract. They have pieces of the puzzle, even on the defensive side. They have a decent defense. He's the defensive coach. He should be able to clean that up. I think that they're a team that might start off slow, like you said, but by the end of the year, they're turning it on, and they're really looking forward to the 2026 season. And it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting for sure.
And also Aaron Glenn, former NFL player and now defensive coordinator and coach, he supported the Sauce Gardner extension and money too. He's planning on doing something with him as well. Like there's I think this is going to be a pretty competitive team that's over the next couple of years is going to change what the trajectory of the Jets has been.
So speaking of the AFC East, now we want to talk about a few coaches that we think are going to be on the hot seat. And I think that when I think about the AFC East and I think about the 4 teams, for those that might not remember, Buffalo, New England, the New York Jets, and the Miami Dolphins. The one coach I think that is on the hot seat the most is by far Mike McDaniel down in Miami. I think if they have a bad year and if they finish dead last in the division, I think they might say, listen, Mike, your Capris were great and you had some offense and you scored 70 points once against Denver, but they can't win in cold weather. They don't look like they're mentally and physically tough. I just think that you look at the roster even. Tyreek Hill's getting older. Jaden Waddle.
And angrier.
Jaden Waddle can't stay healthy. Tua can't stay healthy. I think Mike McDaniel's coaching for his career right now. You agree?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he's this is it. And I think that as much as it's the success on the field, because there's things that you can blame with Tua's your one quarterback, and they've never had a good backup quarterback, or in years they haven't. But it's the unrest and problems of the attitudes and meshing, and Tyreek Hill claiming he wants to get traded 2 or 3 times a year. I think that's as much to blame for his firing as anything.
Yeah. And so do you think he will, or do you think the Dolphins will play well enough that he'll keep his job?
No, I mean, I don't think that they can play well enough. I mean, again, I think the Jets are going to be competitive. New England is going to be a good team, and Buffalo is going to still rule that division. And I mean, what we're going to have is Zach Wilson or Quinn Ewers going to lead them to victories after Tua goes down? No. And I mean, listen, Tua's not going to play 17 games. I'm sorry. It sucks. I hate the way that he rolled back out last year instead of taking the rest of the year off, and the fact that he won't wear a special helmet and he won't do. I don't know. I feel bad for the guy, whatever decisions he's making, but I don't think it's going to help the team.
He's got to help. He's got to help himself at some point too. Like he has to.
For sure.
Okay, Let's continue with the hot seat coaches. Who else do you have on your list of
Well,
coaches?
yeah. I mean, stay in the AFC. I mean, you've got to throw Shane Steichen in there,
Yes.
Who was the superstar. Everybody needed to have him coach just a couple of years ago, and I mean, is Anthony Richardson even going to play games this year? The thing that I think can help Shane Steichen, and it's a long shot, but it's not crazy to me, is I think there's a quarterback in Daniel Jones that can be sent the right way. And I almost hate saying it because I really respect Brian Daboll as an offensive genius, but him and Daniel Jones didn't mesh, which we'll probably talk about Brian Daboll in just a moment. But if I don't think Anthony Richards is going to get the opportunity, whether it's being hurt or faking hurt or being terrible, but if he can show some sort of development with Daniel Jones, it kind of almost resets his timeline of giving him another year after this year.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's crazy. I think there's an NFL quarterback in Daniel Jones. I'm not saying a top 5 quarterback, but I think there's a top 12 guy there.
When you're talking about the best games, best stretch with Shane Steichen's career being with Joe Flacco at the helm, what is Joe Flacco? He's serviceable. That's what he is. And so if he can get Daniel Jones to just be serviceable, like don't do what Anthony Richardson has done when he's been in there. Don't tap yourself out of the game. Complete passes, and for the love of God, just give it to Jonathan Taylor and let him work, because that's what you should be building your offense around anyways.
Man, I tell you what, with Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, and Adonai Mitchell, you've got some guys there, and I keep one thing I love that Indianapolis is getting Tyler Warren. I think that's a huge thing for them as the tight end, and so I think there's some. If you get a quarterback that doesn't screw up, there's some opportunity there.
Yeah. You don't need him to be a superstar.
And they're going to have an okay defense.
Yeah, for sure. I think the Colts could be okay, and Shane Steichen, he needs to be okay, or else he's going to be unemployed. Yep. Let's go with Brian Daboll, the last one. I only had 3. Did you have more than 3?
I have an honorable mention.
Okay, sure. We'll get to that after Daboll. So Daboll, this is what shocked me about the Giants' decision to keep Brian Daboll. They go out and select Jackson Dart in the first round. And so now you're attaching a quarterback to a coach, and that coach could be gone after this year if it doesn't play out. I don't know if they're high on Jackson Dart. I've heard rumors that a lot of teams were really high on Jackson Dart. I've heard teams were not high on Jackson Dart. Who knows? But you got Russell Wilson, and everyone's going to presume that he's going to be the day one starter. But at what point do you turn to Jackson Dart? Because you got to see what you have. He's coaching for his career. I think this is a mess in New York.
Yeah, I mean, if Brian Daboll decides over the next month that he really wants to remain a head coach, he'll ignore what you just said and he'll start Jameis Winston. But no, not to be. Tommy DeVito and Jameis Winston are still there too. What I think was kind of crazy is that I really some of the most interesting conversations we saw from draft and stuff like that is Brian Daboll talking to young quarterbacks. I'm serious. That guy is on another level of offensive genius and is so good. He's up there with Gruden as far as just talking and just holding people accountable to that. But what's crazy to me is that somebody who I really do think is a quarterback genius couldn't make Daniel Jones better and then couldn't decide which quarterback to build his team around. I mean, the fact that they signed Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston and drafted Jackson Dart, and those guys aren't the same. It's weird. Make a decision and head down it. That didn't seem like it to me. So I don't think Jameis makes it out of there. I think he ends up getting traded for a 6th or something to maybe a team like the New Orleans Saints who have young quarterbacks and could use a veteran. Something like that. But that's Russell Wilson's job there this year. And I think Daboll, it just may be too little too late. And he's in a division where if the Cowboys are remotely okay, the Giants are going to lose a lot of games.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. And like I said, it feels like it's a lose-lose. So who's your honorable mention?
Man, Zach Taylor. I mean,
I get it.
At some point, you're the head coach, and you can't have the best offense in the league, the best quarterback and wide receiver combinations in the league, maybe in a long, long time, and continue to not make the playoffs. It's like you're the head coach, and you might be the offensive head coach and all that, but you're the damn head coach. And if your defense is going to suck again, it ain't your team no more.
Their defense is going to suck again. I hate
to
tell you this.
I mean,
they're going to suck again. The Bengals aren't going to suck in. Their offense is going to be legit.
Their defense needs to be top 18.
But I don't think they will be.
I mean, there's no reason to think that.
Bottom 12.
There's no reason to think they will be.
No, and then let's finish up the show with some fun. The owners had mics in front of their faces this
Wait, one question real quick.
Oh, yeah, go.
Out of those hot seat coaches, which one do you think is the most likely to get fired?
Brian Daboll.
You think Daboll over McDaniel?
I do. I think they both get fired, to be honest with you. But
yeah, I'm with you.
The odds-on favorite has to be Daboll, in my opinion.
I think Shane Steichen has the Daniel Jones Hail Mary, and he's almost kind of going to be forced that way to have to play him. Yeah. But I do think I think Daboll, and we didn't even talk about him, but I think Stefanski gets fired after this year too.
Really?
You got to at some point, right? I mean, are you just giving up? Like, well, they haven't fired him yet. Why would they fire him now?
I mean, it would be a Browns thing to do because I think he is a good coach, and unfortunately, as an owner who's very meddling and doesn't get talked about because he's a moron, but still, go ahead.
They may give him the last year of Deshaun Watson's last year just to be like, because nobody else would take the job.
All right, well, let's talk about owners. They had the microphones in front of their faces this week. Jerry Jones doing his usual training camp press conference, making some interesting comments about both Dak Prescott and Micah Parsons, and also Mike Brown, the owner of the Cincinnati Bengals, talking about the Shamar Stewart situation and how he said they're not going to change the contract language. In other words, the language that states that if Shamar Stewart gets suspended or incarcerated or in trouble and can't play, we're not paying you. And he said, if I have a player who gets in trouble and is in jail, why should I have to pay him? I'd say you're a business owner. I get it. What do you think about the Mike Brown comments before we get to Big Dallas comments?
I mean, I will say that he did not say negative things about Shamar Stewart.
Not at all.
He actually said, like, we drafted Shamar Stewart because we want Shamar Stewart. But he is getting bad advice. But he's getting bad advice from someone that he has chosen to pay money to. So he needs to take that bad advice because he's paying for it. And I thought it was a respectful way that he said it. I mean, again, the guy's 103 years old, so he's not really, with microphones in his face, not going to be eloquent and necessarily make the. I mean, he is 2 years younger than Jerry Jones, who's 105. But it didn't come across. What I saw, most of the reaction that I saw was people going, yeah, the guy hired a terrible agent who is a moron, who is, I don't know, that's just the owner himself, the old owner, didn't actually get the bad flack that I kind of thought.
Well, I mean, there comes a point where a player, like, okay, I hate to say this because everyone wants to, no one sides with the players, but how about you sign the contract and don't get arrested? Don't put yourself in a situation where you could possibly lose your money. I mean, that's crazy to think, right? Anyone that has a regular job, if they go out and get drunk and drive in their car, they have the risk of losing their job and not getting paid.
Yep.
You have to be responsible for yourself. I feel like Shamar Stewart could be like, look, I get it. He doesn't want to change the verbiage in the contract. I might not love it, but I want to play. He drafted me. They took a chance, a first-round freaking draft pick. I don't know, man. What are your final thoughts there in Cincinnati?
I think this is going to be more and more dramatic, but he will be there for week one.
And probably not be productive, just like he was in college.
Hey, he's going to be really athletic not being productive, though.
Yes, he's going to look it.
I was fearful the Saints were going to draft this guy, the high RAS score, and who cares? I am so glad they didn't. The Bengals are my LSU North team. I was hoping they would have some defensive help. It sucks. I shouldn't have drafted him.
I'll let you lay out the groundwork for Jerry Jones and what he had to say about Micah Parsons.
Well, listen, I mean, again, Jerry Jones looked terribly, terribly old, and sounded terribly, terribly old. And I think he was asked like a pretty basic question about like, Micah Parsons is here. Micah Parsons showed up on time. He's going to be at camp. Like, but would you be worried about this dragging into the season and him missing any games? Not paying him and then him missing games. And he's like, well, we could pay him and he could miss games too. Like he missed 6 games last year. And then just randomly taking a shot at Micah Parsons. And then he adds in, like, while I'm shooting, I'm going to shoot Dak Prescott too. Because he's like, we made the mistake, or not mistake, he didn't say mistake, but we signed a player, Dak, to the highest contract in the NFL, and he missed 2/3 of a season. Like, just Dak catching strays.
Seriously.
Like, it has nothing to do with him. But Jerry Jones goes and, like, I don't think did it on purpose. He just did it on old and stupid. Like, took shots at his 2 best players, one who he's already overpaid, and the other who, if he would have signed him a year ago, the top of the market for these DNs was $33 million a year, and now it's 41's going to be the floor of that contract now. I mean, it's crazy.
Is there a team in the NFL that
would sign a defensive end to a $41 million contract?
there is one out there.
Is there a team besides the Cowboys that would do such a thing?
No, there is one. No, but is there a team in the NFL that has a bigger disconnect, in your opinion, from an outsider's view, between the players and the ownership and the front office than the Dallas Cowboys? It feels like, it's been decades since you felt like there was any cohesion there. It's always the players saying this, and Jerry Jones, who for some reason has a microphone in front of his face after every game saying Lord knows what.
Yeah, I mean, the thing also is that, yes, but I don't think the players care because of all of these huge public contract negotiations the Cowboys have been in, Jerry Jones has lost every single one of them. So they don't care. Yep. Oh, great. Yeah. Be stupid. Let's be disconnected. You talk trash, blah, blah, blah. You win every time. They've all gotten paid. So I guess I would just say, like, I think they know that, but their agent's like, you're in the right spot.
Good point.
It's fine.
Good point. All right, man. We went a little long, but this is a good show. Why don't you let everyone know where they can find your Saints coverage as they get ready to head back to camp?
Yeah, you can find me on X at @WhoDatWesley13. We talk Saints coverage. We got a new uniform being released this year, and one thing we don't have to worry about is it being the worst and ugliest one. And speaking of that, Jeff, where can we find your Steelers coverage?
Hey, I don't like the uniform either, all right? I like the gold helmets. I can live with the helmets. It's just awful. Like the khaki pants. Well, what are you guys, golfers? Like I thought we got through this with the Bumblebees where they had the khaki pants. It's like, come on, guys. I know it's a retro 1933 throwback. We don't have to do the khaki pants. And I honestly hate throwbacks. Just stop. You have a good uniform. The Saints have a good uniform. You got good mix and match. Just stop. Like it's asinine. But anyways, Steel Curtain Network is where you can find my coverage there, and steelcurtainnetwork.com. And you can find me on Twitter at jhartman, HARTMAN_PIT. I'm sure you'll see Wesley in the comments there as well.
Always.
So, good show, man. We'll talk
See you,
next
man.
week. Take it easy.